Hey everybody, hope you're having a good week. It's Bill, and I just wanted to give you an introduction to week 4 in design thinking and innovative solutions. First, I really want to thank you for your engagement in participation and in preparation for class this year, both through the forum posts and the care that you took to put those together and provide thoughtful feedback to your peers. And then, two, the preparation that each of you and your groups put forward for the presentations that you had to make this week in lab. And that includes going out, seeking out people in your families, in your peer groups, and experts, your professors for the interviews. They were excellent. And as I mentioned in lab, by doing that, you're already a step ahead of any of the other classes that we've had go through this course. I also really appreciate too how eager everyone was to share their own experiences, especially in the Monday group. And then in the Tuesday group, we had a chance to look at your presentations of the data that you put together and how impressive those collections of insights and interviews really were. And it's really going to set you up well for the next um, stage we have here in the feedback. Now this week we're going to be on two different tracks that we're working on. Certainly continuing to define the climate in the classroom and then putting together your public story. And so in defining the class comment, you have now assembled all of that information and you have already started to go through at least a mental process to identify what stands out to you, what's most important to you, what was most meaningful and notable for you, because those are the types of things that you presented to your classmates. So as I mentioned, rather than going through a formal top 5 process, you've already done that. So what you need to do this week in your groups is to go ahead and to summarize your key findings. That doesn't mean every single interview that you did, but what are the things in your mind that kind of came to the top? And as you get together this week, I want you to put them all down in a list or on a piece of paper or on a whiteboard. And then what you'll start to see are themes emerge, and you can move those things together. And as you see themes, you can then name those themes. Very quick headlines, 2-3 words that you're then going to take and plug into the insight statement template that I gave you in the worksheet. So you'll have that template for your particular category, let's say accountability, and then following that statement, you will have those themes. Your charge then is to make one coherent statement that gathers kind of the feeling and the themes and the ideas that you took from all those interviews that you did. And you'll be presenting that one coherent statement to another group for feedback in lab next week. The second piece is going to be your public story. This is going to be your opportunity to introduce yourself to us, your intentions to us. Now, you've already started that with the forum post where you talked about your values. And that kind of continued into the introduction that you did in the worksheet and the workshop, and then the feedback that you got at the end of lab. That's going to now translate to the second activity, which is the challenge, choice, and the outcome. Now, this is going to be the second part of the activity where you're going to have an opportunity to fill out the worksheet and then to get feedback from one of your peers. And I hope that what you've realized even in lecture and from what you've started to see, this just isn't a list, right? This is defining the intention and why it's important to you. And we've already started to see that in some of the posts, right? Where people used very vivid detail about their values and their upbringing and where they came from, right? So if you look through those forum posts and you see Jack and Lewis talking about how impactful their church or their retreats were on them, or Chris's experience with Chick-fil-A, or folks growing up with sisters like Sophia and Marley who had to kind of break away and feel good about asking for help or drawing a consensus anytime they wanted to do something to the bedroom that they had to share with their sisters, or maybe even coping with loss like Maura. All of those rich, vivid details so richly define who you are and where you come from. So this week, you'll have an opportunity to get feedback, further feedback if you'd like on your introduction, your challenge, choice, and outcome, and then you will use that feedback to put together a forum post that defines your challenge, choice, and outcome that's due on Saturday, where you'll get continued feedback. And then for next week, I'd like you to have a written draft of your story itself. It's not going to be done, it's not going to be finished, but I do want it to be written. It will not work if you show up and you try to just wing it thinking that it's a rough draft. You will not get good feedback, and quite honestly, it won't be very considerate to those of us that have to watch it. So get your rough draft together, and then you'll be able to get feedback that you will then use for the 26th when you'll be presenting your story of self. It's been an exciting week. Again, I really appreciate everybody's effort and engagement. If you have any questions, please feel free to post those on the community forum, and I'll be happy to help as I can. And until then, I will look forward to seeing you next week in class.